Hi guys, welcome to Exclam Chess. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at a game that was sent to me by the user I'm a Dark Horse on chess.com. And so let's go ahead and take a look at this game he sent. Okay, so he was playing as the white pieces, by the way. He plays e4, his opponent plays g6, d4, d6, and here we see a type of modern defense, and knight to f3. So usually what I do in this position is I will play knight to c3, and the reason is that after knight to f3, you have to deal with this bishop pin. And so just to give a little sample of what I myself do, I will go ahead and play something like knight to c3, and let's just go for a variation here, bishop g7, bishop e3, maybe knight to f6, queen d2, and then like c6, and then castling queenside, and then I have ideas of things like bishop to h6 to just exchange off the dark squared bishops and try to weaken black's king position, and then maybe ideas of h4 and potentially h5 at some point maybe. And so those are kind of some of the ideas that I get, and I'll try to attack with opposite wing castling and try to do something like that. And that's just what I myself do. Okay, now let's go back to the game. Knight to f3, bishop g4, bishop e3, knight c6, c3, bishop g7, bishop b5, a6. And I'm just going through some of these moves kind of briskly because there's a few positions that I want to get to and try to explain and that have more teaching value. So I'm just going to go through these kind of quickly. h5. I disagree with this move because black's playing on the side too much here. He should be aiming to play in the center and just getting developed castling his king. And this move doesn't really do any of that. And it would weaken his king's position after he castled, and so this move isn't really that great of an idea. He should be playing in the center, not on the side. h3, and now black gives up the bishop pair. Bishop to h6. This is really a bad idea. This is not such a great move. And right here, the player sending in the game actually asks the question if after queen d2, rook to e1 would have been better. And rook to e1 would have been slightly better, but here's the real move. See, the bishop to a6 was a bad idea, because the real thing that you should have considered is bishop to h6, and taking the bishop. And then this position would be a lot better than either after rook to e1 or the game variation that actually occurred. Because in this position, black will have no options of castling, and in addition, what's this rook doing on h6? Like, what is it doing there? And so, this is just misplaced, black can't castle. This probably would have been the best way for you to approach this. In the game, queen d2 was played, and rook to e1 would have been slightly better, because after the move played, which was knight to c4, then you have to worry about this fork that happens, and then after queen c1 and knight takes, and now you're losing your dark squared bishop and leaving black with his. If you could have gotten off this bishop by exchanging it, that would have been pretty nice, because this bishop is really important for black because he's weakened his dark squares around his king position. And after c5, I don't know if I would have pushed, because right here you have a really strong center before pushing, and it's supported by these pawns, and you got this pawn duo in the center. This is a pretty big center. After d5, you kind of weaken that center a little bit. And so I would have just probably left that center alone and left it strong. So let's get back to the game. And now you have this weak isolated pawn here to worry about, and that's not so great. That's something I like. I really have a distaste for isolated pawns. That's probably why I'm very against this position. I have a bit of a prejudice against isolated pawns. I really don't like playing with them. Okay. And king to f2. This probably also wasn't such a great idea, because during the middle of the game, the king really doesn't belong anywhere near the center whatsoever. And so it's best to probably keep him tucked away somewhere on the side of the board. And bringing to the center too early in the game is not really a good thing that you should do. During an endgame, when more of the pieces have been traded off, like maybe exchange off the queens, and then starting to bring the king to the center makes a bit more sense, because then he's one of the few pieces you have left that you can use. But in this type of situation, the king still belongs towards the side of the board. Okay, so let's continue. There was another point. Oh, yes, right here. Right here. So this is a little tactic that black makes the mistake of. Here he gets too greedy. So if black had played pretty much any move other than this move that he played in the game, taking the pawn, he would have been pretty much fine and would have still been winning. But after this, he's just too greedy. Whenever you capture pawn, you need to think about that, think about the consequences. And in this case, black just gets too greedy because he makes a mistake of taking, and then there's this pin. And so one possible variation was if taking, then this variation happens and black is down a piece. Or we can take a look at the game variation. Rook takes e4, queen takes e4, and then again black can't take because of the same idea, and then he's just down a piece. And then here black continues to just make a few more mistakes, because I think that once a player makes one mistake, then they, for some reason, they just keep making bad moves, and that might have been what happened here, because a few bad moves happened in a row, and that's a common thing I noticed that happen to players. For some reason, they just get into this habit of once they make one bad move, then sometimes their whole rest of their game just falls apart. And then this is where black resigned. Okay, so that's all for this video. I hope that having a different set of eyes take a look at this game gave some perspective on it and some new ideas to help you improve. And so that's all. Thanks for watching.